Here are the video solutions for Functional Skills Maths Level 2, Practice Paper 1. This is Section A, the non-calculator part. Let's take a look at question number 1. So write the following numbers in order of size. Okay, 3.2, 3.27, 3.72, 3.702 and 3.02. So what I would recommend doing is write them in a column. 3.2, 3.27. Make sure the decimal points are in line. That's really important. 3.72, 3.702 and 3.02. Okay, so in the units they are all the same, but if we look at the tenths column, we've got a 2, a 2, a 7, a 7 and a 0. So in order of size, that means we're going to go from smallest to largest. So what is the smallest number in the units? Well, it's 0. So 3.02 is smaller than all of the other numbers. So 3.02, so that one's gone. Now, if we compare the tenths column again, we've got 2 7s and 2 2s. So these two numbers here are smaller than the 3.7 numbers. Now, if you don't like the fact that this is a gap, you can put a 0 in there. So in the units, you've got a 3 and a 3. In the tenths, a 2 and a 2. But in the hundredths, you've got a 0 and a 7. So this number here is smaller than 3.27. So remember, we put that 0 on the end. So it's 3.2 followed by 3.27. And now we're just comparing these two numbers here. So these are gone. 3, 3, same. 7, 7, same. But next column, we've got a 2 versus a 0. 0 is less than a 2. So it's going to be 3.702 and then 3.72. Okay, so I should probably write that in the answer box here. 3.02, 3.2, 3.27, 3.702 and 3.72. Done. Okay, right, let's have a look at question 2. So 1 3/5 plus 2 1/4. So the first thing that I would do is to turn both of these into improper fractions. So how many fifths is 1 3/5? Well, that is 1 times by 5 plus 3. 1 times by 5 is 5 plus 3 is 8. So that is going to be 8 fifths. And 2 1/4 is 2 times 4 plus 1. So 2 times 4 is 8 plus 1, which is 9. So 8 fifths plus 9 quarters. So I'm going to do the crisscross smiley face technique here. So 8 times by 4 is 32, plus 9 times by 5, which is 45, all over 5 times by 4, which is 20. 32 plus 45, maybe you need to do a quick column for that. 2 plus 5 is 7, 3 plus 4 is 7, so that is 77 over 20. Okay, so it doesn't say how we need to give our answer, so 77 over 20 may well be acceptable. This fraction cannot be simplified, but you might want to turn it into a mixed number. Remember that this means 77 divided by 20. Well, how many 20s go into 77? 20 goes into 77 3 times. 20, 40, 60. Next one is 80, which is greater than 77. So 20, 40, 60. To go from 60 to 77, that is another 17. So 17 over 20. So two options there, 77 over 20 or 3 and 17 twentieths. Okay, let's have a look at question number 3. The distance between two towns on a map is 8 centimetres and the scale is 1 to 25,000. Okay, so what that means is 1 centimetre on the map represents 25,000 centimetres in real life. Okay, so 8 centimetres is going to be, in real life, 8 times by 25,000. So what is 8 times 25,000? Well, let's just work out, first of all, 8 times 25. 25 times 8 is 5 8s are 40, 0 carry 4, 2 8s are 16, plus 4 is 200. So 8 centimetres represents 200,000 centimetres in real life. Let's turn this into kilometres though, so it's a bit more meaningful. First of all, we are told to do it into kilometres now. First of all, I would turn it into metres. Now, there are 100 centimetres in a metre, so I need to divide this by 100. So chop off 2 zeros, so that's 2,000 metres. And to turn that into kilometres, there are 1,000 metres in a kilometre, so divide by 1,000. That's going to be 2 kilometres. Okay, question number 4. Calculate the addition of these two decimals. So 6.402. When we're adding or subtracting decimals, make sure the decimal points are in line. This one is pretty difficult to line up wrong because we have the same number of digits on the left and the right of the decimal point. Make sure too you've got a decimal point in line in the answer box. Starting on the right hand side, 5 plus 2 is 7, 0 plus 4 is 4, 4 plus 5 is 9, 6 plus 3 is 9, so the answer is 9.947. Question number 5, we're just using this formula. D is 29t squared, where t is 5.1. So D is going to be 29 times by 5.1 times by 5.1, but it says estimate. So I'm going to round it to one significant figure. 29, we'll call that 30. 5.1 we'll call 5, and 5.1 we'll call 5. So 30 times 5 times 5, well that's 30 times by 5 times 5 is 25. 3 times 25 is 25, 50, 75. So if 3 times 25 is 75, then 30 times 25 is 750. So the answer here is 750 metres. Okay, question number 6. 4335 divided by 6. Now, all the numbers in the 6 times table are even, because 6 is an even number. So this won't divide exactly, so we're expecting a decimal answer here. So that's going to be slightly irritating, but let's go for it. Bus stop method. 4335. 4 divided by 6 can't be done, so 0, remainder 4. 43 divided by 6, 7. 7 sixes are 42, so that's a remainder of 1. 13 divided by 6 is 2, 2 sixes are 12, again a remainder of 1. 15 divided by 6 is 2 with a remainder of 3. Now, the remainder I need to stick onto a number, but looks like we've reached an end point, so what I need to do is put in a decimal point and put down a 0, so that I can now park that remainder of 3 on that 0 to create a 30. 30 divided by 6 is 5. So there's our answer, 722.5. So moving on to question number 7, we need to work out the area that the painters are planning on painting. So what I'm going to do is chop this into 2 rectangles. So the area of a rectangle is the length times the width, or base times the height, one dimension multiplied by another. So this rectangle here, I'll call this rectangle A and this rectangle B. So rectangle A is 3.5 multiplied by this height here, which we don't know. Now, this is a vertical side. Let's look at the other vertical sides, this side here and this side here. The whole thing is 2.5. So if it's 2 meters from here to here, then the remaining distance, or this gap here, which is the same as this distance here, is going to be the difference between 2.5 and 2, so 0.5. So 3.5 times by 0.5. So let's just work out, let's do 35 times by 5. 5 5s are 35, carry 2, 3 5s are 15, 16, 17. But the question was not 35 times by 5. Well, let's just write, so 35 times by 5 is 175. So 3.5 multiplied by 0.5, we have 2 decimal places, so we need 2 decimal places in the answer, so 1.75 square meters. Okay, so I'll just write here 1.75 square meters. Now, rectangle B is 2.5 multiplied by this distance here. So the whole thing is 5 meters along the bottom. And if it's 3.5 meters from this point to this point, then this distance here, which is the same as the distance across the top, is 5 take away 3.5, which is 1.5 meters. So the next calculation we need to do is 1.5. So for rectangle B is 1.5 times by 2.5, so I'm going to do a similar thing. Not a lot of space for working here, but let's just do 25 times by 15. 5 5s are 25, carry 2. 2 5s are 10, plus 2 is 12. Next line, put in a 0 because this is the 1 of 10. 1 5 is 5, 1 2 is 2. Add them together, 5 7 3. And again, we need 2 decimal places because we have 2 decimal places in the question. So let's just write that down in full. So 2.5 times by 1.5 is 3.75 square meters. So the total area is this plus this. So let's just work this out over here. 1.75 plus 3.75. 5 plus 5 is 10, carry 1. 7 plus 7 is 14, plus 1 is 15, carry 1. Probably should have put the decimal point in at the beginning. 1 plus 3 plus 1 is 5. So the answer is 5.5 square meters. Okay, question number 8. It says here that it takes 3 people 7 hours. So how long is it going to take if we have a 4th person? Now this would be much easier if we were told there were 6 people, twice as many people. Some people will be tempted to write down 6, if 3 people is 7 hours, let me just write this down. Then 6 people would be 14 hours. Double the number of people, double the number of hours. But that would be incorrect, because if you have more people working, it's going to take less time. So we have twice as many people, so it would take half the time. So that would be 3.5 hours. Anyway, working out for 6 people is completely pointless anyway, but that was just to show you why this question is slightly tricky. Going from 3 to 6 would be quite easy, but how do we go from 3 to 4? Okay, we need to take it back and work out how long it would take one person. If you have 3 times fewer people, it's going to take 3 times longer. So here, to go from 3 to 1, we are dividing by 3. So here we are going to be multiplying by 3. So one person would take 21 hours. Just think of it logically. One person is going to take much longer to do the same job if 3 people were doing it originally. Okay, so if one person takes 21 hours and we've got 4 people on the job, that is 4 times more people. So it's going to take 4 times less. So our final calculation is 21 divided by 4. So let's just do this down here. 21 divided by 4. 4's into 2, don't go, 0, move the 2 across. 4's into 21, go 5 times. 5 4's are 20, so that's a remainder of 1. So we need to put in a decimal point and a 0 and stick the 1 on the 0 to make a 10. 10 divided by 4 is 2 with a remainder of 2. Put in a 0 so we can put the 2 on top. 20 divided by 4 is 5. So 5.25 hours, or if you want, you can say it's 4 hours. Remember, 0.25 is not 25 minutes. 0.25 is quarter of an hour. So 5 hours and 15 minutes. Or you could say 5 1/4 hours. Many different options there. Okay, so on to section B, which is the calculator section. Question number 9, having a calculator is of no help whatsoever. Write in digits 507,723. Well, what we need to remember is that the word 1,000 can be replaced with a comma. So to the left of that, I've got 507, and to the right, 723, 723. So there we have it, 507,723. We can take the comma out if you don't like the comma. But remembering that 1,000 is represented by a comma helps us write these numbers correctly. Okay, question number 10. A manufacturing company produce metal fixings, etc., etc. So what fractions produced were defective? So we know that 1,920 are faulty. Faulty is the same as defective, so as a fraction we've got 1920 out of 23040. So we've got it as a fraction, but not in its simplest form. So for me, the easiest way to simplify this is divide top and bottom by 10, which straight away turns it into 192 over 2304. Now both of these are even, so let's divide the top and the bottom by 2. We get 96 over 1152. Easy enough with a calculator. Still even top and bottom, so let's divide by 2 again. 48 on top, 576 on the bottom. Again, divide top and bottom by 2 because we've still got even numbers. 24 over 288. Still even, so let's divide by 2 again. 12 over 144. And again, well, it depends how good you are with your tables. At this stage, I've spotted that I've got a multiple of 12 on the top and the bottom. So dividing the top and the bottom by 12, I get 1 over 12. I don't need my calculator for that last bit. If you've got a fancy calculator, you might just be able to type in 1920 over 23040 and hit the equals button, and that should take you directly to 1/12. If not, you're going to have to simplify it in stages. And you could start off by just dividing the 1920 over 23040, divide top and bottom by 2, but it's a lot quicker if you just get rid of the 0 to begin with. Question number 11, plot the coordinate 4, 3 on the graph below. So we need to remember that we go along the corridor and then up the steps. So we're going along 4 and then up 3. So along to 4 and up to 3. So the only difficulty here is there isn't really a 3, but 3 is obviously halfway between 2 and 4. So along 4 and up to 3. So halfway between 2 and 4 takes us to that point there. Okay, so on to question 12. So what we need to do is work out what £6,000 turns into when we use these two different accounts. So the Y2 savings account. So we need to be careful here. It's this interest amount is only applied every 2 years. So we're only going to increase 6,000 by 4.25% once. So this question boils down to how good you are with percentage multipliers. So we're starting off with £6,000 and we're trying to increase it by 4.25%. Now, what is the multiplier for 4.25%? Well, the answer is it's this number here divided by 100. So that is 0.0425. So this is the multiplier we would use if we're working out 4.25% or something. Now we want to increase by 4.25%, so what we need to do is add 1 to this basic percentage multiplier, and that turns it into 1.0425. So 6,000 multiplied by 1.0425, and that will give us a new amount of £6,255. Now using the standard, we're going to do a similar calculation, so it's going to be 6,000, but this 2.5% is added every year. So we're going to have to increase this twice by 2.5%. Now the multiplier for 2.5% is 0.025. So for an increase of 2.5% is going to be 1.025. So it's 6,000 times 1.025 for the first year, and then times by 1.025 again for the second year, and that comes to £6,303.75. So he says that he would have over £50 more. So is this £50 more than that? Well, to work that out, let's subtract 6,255 from the 6,303.75, and we get £48.75. So Darren is therefore wrong. Darren is wrong because he would only get £48.75 more, which is obviously less than £50. Question number 13, it's an isosceles triangle, so the key thing is that the base angles are the same, that's why they've both been labelled X. Angles in a triangle add up to 180, so if I take away the 78, I'm left with 102 degrees. So these two angles add up to 102, but since they're both the same, my next calculation is just to split 102 degrees in half, and I get 51 degrees. So the answer is 51 degrees. Okay, question 14. Jesse measures the height of her 7 friends and works out that their mean height is 1.73 meters. Okay, a lot of people are going to struggle with this, but whenever you see the mean given, what you need to do is work out the total. So the total height, or in this case it's the total height, but the total anything is going to be the mean multiplied by the number of values. So in this case, the total is going to be the mean, which is 1.73 multiplied by 7. And 1.73 multiplied by 7 is, just of course, this is a calculator question, so you can use a calculator. That is 12.11 meters. Okay, so these 7 friends combined come to 12.11. So normally what you want is a question where you've been given the total and you want to work out the mean. Well, that's the total divided by the number of values. So we're just turning this equation around basically. Okay, so we now know that when Jesse's included as well, so there's now 8 of them, the mean changes, 1.74. So what is the total here? Well, that's going to be 1.74 multiplied by 8. And 1.74 multiplied by 8 is 13.92 meters. So the total heights combined before Jessie was measured was 12.11, and with Jessie it's gone up to 13.92. So Jessie's height must be 13.92 meters, take away 12.11 meters, which is 1.81 meters. There we go, 1.81. Okay, question number 15. So for this question, we know that the cost in euros is this formula here. So it's for 7 days, so that is 0.6 lots of, in brackets, 30 plus 15. Now 15D means 15 times D, where D is the number of days, so 15 times by 7. So, sorry, this is a 0, not a 6. Okay, so remembering that bid mass means we need to do the brackets first, and inside the brackets we need to do the multiplying before the adding. So 15 times by 7, that comes to 105, so add on the 30, 135, and then multiply 135 by 0.6, and we get 81 euros. So probably should have written all this down in the working section, but I didn't want to be constantly going up and down. So we've got £70, so we're comparing £70 and 81 euros. Okay, so how much more would she have saved by paying for the car hire in Spain? Okay, so let's just have forgotten the numbers already. So it's £70 in the UK, so let me just write that down. UK, £70, Spain was 81 euros. So what I need to do is I can either convert £70 into euros or 81 euros into pounds. Now I'm quite tempted to convert £70 into euros. Actually, I'm not tempted because 70 goes off the scale. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert 81 euros into pounds, which is also off the scale. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look for somewhere on the graph where I get a nice reading for both pounds and euros. So what I'm looking for is, okay, so £10 equals, that's not too bad. However, for some reason I'm a bit more attracted to this value here. So here we know that this is £20, and that is definitely one line less than the midpoint of 20 and 30, so 25. So £20 is 24 euros. Okay, so let me just scroll down a bit. I don't need that anymore. So I know that £20 is 24 euros, and I want to convert 81 euros. Okay, right, now if it was 42 euros, that would be nice and easy. That would be double 24, so the equivalent would be double 20. Now the question is, how many times greater is 81 than 24? Well, that's not very obvious. So what you need to do is, if you're trying to work out how many times 81 is bigger than 24, what you need to do is divide 81 by 24. 81 divided by 24 is 3.375. So what that means is 24 multiplied by 3.375 is 81. And if you're not sure, just double check it. So we've got 3.37, oh, don't know why I put 2 decimal points there, 3.375 times more euros. So therefore we need, well, the equivalent in pounds will be 20 multiplied by 3.375. And 20 times 3.375 is £67 and 50 pence. Okay, so it's a little bit cheaper in Spain. In the UK it was £70. So how much would she have saved? Well, that would be the difference between 70 and £67.50, and the difference between the two is, of course, £2.50. Probably don't need a calculator for that last bit, but you can use a calculator, so feel free. So £2.50. Okay, right, so question number 16, we don't need the grid anymore, even though it's still a question about Demi's holiday in Spain. So the original price of the coat was reduced by 20%. Now, when something is reduced by 20%, the multiplier is 0.8. So the original price multiplied by 0.8 gives us this new price of 180 euros. Now, where on earth is this number here coming from, I hear you ask? If the price of something is 20% off, that means you pay 80%. So all we need to do is work out 80% of the original price. And the multiplier for 80% is, well, this figure here divided by 100, which is 0.8, 0.80, and of course that 0 doesn't need to be there anymore. So that's where this 0.8 comes from. So 0.8 is the percentage multiplier for a 20% reduction. 20% off means it's 80% of the original amount. So the original price was multiplied by 0.8 to give us £180. So the original price, we just need to work this formula backwards, is going to be 180 divided by 0.8, and £180 divided by 0.8 is €225. There we go, and we are done. Okay, so some fairly challenging questions, 15 and 16. 17 is a bit easier, a two-way table. So all we need to remember for a two-way table is that this number here is these two boxes added together. This total here is these two added together. The totals here are the addition of year 9 plus year 10. And this bottom box here is the subtotals added together both vertically and horizontally. So we're looking for one row or column where we've only got one value missing, so this would be the perfect starting point. So we know in year 9 there are 174 pupils. If 112 are girls, the rest are boys, so that's going to be 174 minus 112, which is 62. Okay, we've got we've got just one box missing in this row here. So in total there are 62 plus 97 boys, so it's 157. We've got 159, sorry, I think I said 157, I meant 159. 159 plus 196 comes to 355 in total. The grand total, 355, minus 175 year 9s is the total number of year 10s, which is 181. And of the 181 year 10s, 97 are boys, so the rest are girls. So if I subtract 97 from 181, I've got the year 10 girls, and that is 84. Worth checking, is 84 plus 112 196? And yes, it is. So complete the two-way table and use this to find the probability that a student selected at random is a boy. Okay, so how many boys are there? There are 159 boys. Out of how many students in total? 355. And it's worth investigating whether this fraction can be simplified. And the answer is no, it cannot be simplified. I suspect that 159 is a prime number, but I could be wrong, but certainly there's nothing that you can divide both 159 and 355 by. So this is the probability of selecting a student who is a boy. 159 over 355. Okay, question number 18. So the ratio for the fudge recipe is 2 to 3, and that is chocolate to frosting. So 2 to 3. Now, what that means is if Susan is using 3 grams of frosting, she needs to use 2 grams of chocolate, but she's using 510 grams of frosting. So we're scaling this ratio up, but how many times? So what we need to ask ourselves is how many times greater than 3 is 510? Well, the answer to that question is, what is 510 divided by 3? And the answer is 170. So we're boosting the ratio by 170. So we need to multiply this figure by 170 as well. 2 to 3 is the same as 340 to 510. So what that means is if fudge is being made with 340 grams of chocolate and 510 grams of frosting, then the fudge will weigh 340 plus 510, which comes to 850 grams. So that's 850 grams of fudge. Okay, so 10% is eaten. Well, what is 10% of 850? That's 85. So what's left? 850 minus 85, which comes to 765 grams left over. And an individual bar of fudge is 100 grams. So just how many hundreds do we get in 765? Well, we'll get 7 whole bars and 65 grams left over, but so that is just 7 bars of fudge. So 7 whole bars and then just a random 65 grams, which maybe she can eat that as well, perhaps. Okay, so question 12. So Donald's a zookeeper. In 2018, he measured the weights of the 6 leopards that are kept in the zoo and recorded the results. And in 2021, a few years later, the median was £68. and we've been asked to calculate the percentage change in the median weight. Okay, so what we need to do is work out the median weight of the leopards from this table here. Now remember that the median is the middle value, and it's only the middle value when they are put in order. Now these leopard weights are not in order, so let's put them in order. The lowest is 27, in fact there's two 27, so 27, 27, 29, 30, 32, 34. Okay, so to find the one in the middle, we're going to chop one off each side, and we're going to continue until we get 1 or 2 in the middle. Okay, it's better when you only get 1 in the middle. Here we've got 2 in the middle because we've got an even number of values. So this one's not too bad. The median is the halfway point between 29 and 30. So the median is therefore 29.5, and this is kilos, I believe. Oh yes, sorry, it does say there, kilos, 29.5 kilos. If it's not obvious to you that 29.5 is halfway between 29 and 30, then using your calculator, add 29 and 30 together and divide that answer by 2, you'll get 29.5. Now what I want to do is convert 29.5 kilos into pounds, because I'm comparing the median with 68 pounds. So if 1 kilo is 2.2 pounds, then 29.5 kilos is 29.5 multiplied by 2.2 pounds, and that comes to a total of 64.9. So 64.9 pounds. Okay, so we want to work out the percentage increase from 64.9 to 68. Now remember that to calculate a percentage change, it's the difference divided by the original multiplied by 100. So what is the difference between these two values? Well, 68 take away 64.9 is 3.1, so it's 3.1 divided by what it was originally before it went up, so divided by 64.9 multiplied by 100, and that comes to, I've just rounded it to 2 decimal places, that is 4.78%. Question number 20. We want to calculate the density, so we need to remember straight away density is the mass divided by the volume, and we know the mass is 350. We just need to work out the volume. Now what is the formula for the volume of a cylinder? The volume is pi r squared h. It's the area of a face multiplied by its height, and the formula for the area, or the face of a cylinder is a circle, and the formula for the area of a circle is pi r squared. So the volume is pi, which we've been told is 3.14, multiplied by the radius, which is 2. So times 2 times 2 times the height of 5. So the volume comes to, what does it come to? That comes to 62.8. So using the formula, density is mass divided by volume. So that's 350 divided by 62.8. That comes to, and again I'm just going to have to round the answer, that's going to be 5.57 grams per cubic centimetre, and that's just 2 decimal places. Okay. Okay, question 21. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to work out what time does the journey end. We know the first bit of the journey lasts 12 minutes, which is okay, fantastic, but there's also a bit of waiting time, so we don't really, it's kind of irrelevant really. Let's just work out what time the second train arrives in London. So 122 minutes, I would convert that into hours and minutes. So that is 60, 120, so that is 2 hours and 2 minutes. So the arrival time is going to be 07:27 plus 2 hours 2 minutes. So if I add 2 hours, that's going to be 09:27, then add the 2 minutes, that's going to be 09:29. So 29 minutes past 9. Okay, so we want to work out how long the journey lasted in total. If it started at 07:05 and ended at 09:29, so we can see to go from 7 to 9, that's going to be 2 hours, And to go from 5 to 29, that is 24 minutes. Okay, so another formula we need to use here is that speed is the distance divided by the time. So the speed is going to be the distance, which is 197 divided by, okay, this is going to cause a problem here. So we want miles per hour, so we need this time in hours. So it's going to be divided by 2 point something. Now it's not going to be 2.24 because there's not 24 minutes in an hour. It's 24 60ths of an hour, 24 minutes out of 60, and if you type into your calculator 24 divided by 60, you'll get the decimal equivalent, and 24 divided by 60 is 0.4. So 2 hours 24 is 2.4. So there's our calculation, 197 divided by 2.4, and we get, again, I'm just going to round it to 2 decimal places, 82.08 miles per hour. Okay, and the final question, question 22. So first of all, let's look at offer 1. I'll just write here O1. So 10% off. So 10% is going to be that divided by 10, which is 18p. So £1.80 minus 18p, which is 0.18. That will reduce the price to £1.62. So 2 litres is £1.62. What I'm going to do, I'm going to work out what it is per litre for each offer. So 1 litre is going to be half of that, £1.62 divided by 2, so that is 0.81. So I'll just maybe write here 0.81 per litre. Offer 2, this one's a bit harder to calculate. So first of all, 4 times 330 millilitres is 1,320 millilitres, and I want to work out the price for 1,000 millilitres, and it's half price, so £2.20 divided by 2 is £1.10. Okay, I'm going to run out of space for the workings here. So 1,320 millilitres is £1.10. I'm going to work out 1,000 millilitres, which is a litre. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, it's very difficult for me to work out how to go from 1,320 to 1,000. So what is 1 millilitre? Okay, if 1,320 is £1.10, then 1 millilitre is £1.10 divided by 1,320. We could work out the actual figure there, but I'm not really interested in what 1 millilitre costs, because I want 1,000 millilitres. So that is 1,000 times more than 1 millilitre, and if 1 millilitre is this calculation here, then I simply just multiply this calculation by 1,000. £1.10 divided by 1,320 multiplied by 1,000 comes to 0.83. Okay, so just write up here 0.83. So at the moment, offer 1 is better. Offer 3, this one's quite easy, 500 millilitres. So and it's a quarter off. Well, what is a quarter of 60 is 15p. So 60 minus 15p is 45p. So I'll just do the workings here actually. So 500 mil costs 45p. So therefore 1,000 millilitres, which is a litre, is going to be double that, so 90p. Okay, so we can see offer 3 is not the best. Offer 1 is the best. There we go. So the answer here is offer 1. Does that answer the question? Yeah, just which offer provides the best value for working, and the marks will be from our various calculations as well as the final answer. So that is the end of this paper.